Hello, I'm Jeremy Gray, and this is Indiana. We got a great show for you. We're going to talk to Deputy Athletic Director Scott Dolson. We'll learn some stuff about our facilities from Inside Indiana's Ken Bykoff. We'll take a look at the new Bart Kaufman Field as well, and much, much more coming up next on This is Indiana.
Let me see your hands up, 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 up in the air, higher and higher. See your hands up, up in the air, higher and higher, higher and higher, higher and higher.
Now we're being joined by Inside Indiana's Ken Bykoff. And Ken, to my mind, you are the foremost expert on the history of the athletic facilities at Indiana University. And I want to take maybe a trip down memory lane for a lot of our fans. First off, Assembly Hall's got an interesting backstory on how and why it was constructed, the unique way that it was.
Yeah, it was all designed off of the North Carolina cattle auction facility at Dorton Arena, which still exists. And it is designed so that basically you have two seating areas to a center theater, and it goes, if you notice that Memorial Stadium and Assembly Hall, they're built off the same design, to where there's, for the seating, it just comes up in kind of a U shape so that everybody rises up to see the same theater. And they liked the design. That was something that they put together. And the arches, the famous arches that make the top of Assembly Hall, again, it's to support a roof and be able to hold up on wires and hold down the weight of the roof, and hold that up and make it just a facility that has a lot of wide open spaces, has a lot of seating, but also doesn't require any kind of posts or anything to obstruct viewing.
Look at that. Now, the old field house, we're going to talk about some updates that have been made at the old Hyper building a little bit later on in this program. But the old field house is a venue that a lot of Indiana basketball fans have fond memories of.
Yeah, and it's an amazing building in and of itself. That the men's gymnasium that's there, and also Wildermuth Field House, now the old field house, which a lot of people just call the field house. It is. Indiana played football on its footprint for 1 year in 1924 when there was a delay in the construction of the original Memorial Stadium. Jordan Field had already been moved on from a football facility. They played a season in 1924 on it. Then they build the field house. They connect it to the gymnasium. And it's still to this day, you could see some of the windows inside the gymnasium rain staining from it, the rust stains coming off of the window frames, because at one point part of that building was outside and now it's inside. From a basketball standpoint, it was a place that people still remember very, very fondly. It was a field house. There was a lot of wide open spaces. The floor was lifted about 3 feet off the ground. Players had to run down and go up a set of stairs to get onto the court. The entire place was surrounded by a net as well, so that if any balls or any players would go skidding towards the edge, they would be caught by the net. There was a heck of a drop-off that went down onto sawdust that was there, and they would have to fill up, take the bleachers in and out depending on what season it was, because they needed the bleachers at football, they needed them at the field house. The field house was also used for things like registration at the time. And so it was used for a lot of different purposes, but the key was that for basketball, it was still a loud venue. It was a place that people struggled to come to and win, and that's why some of those Branch McCracken teams were very, very successful.
You're somebody who's a facility file, and you look at what has happened with some of the facilities that Indiana Athletics has constructed over the course of its history and their bizarre backstories. And they might not be ideal venues, but you look at the baseball softball complex, Indiana got this one right.
Oh, they absolutely did, and it is far, far overdue. Sembauer Field, God bless it, but it was not up to the standards of a Big Ten facility. Now Indiana has something it really, really can be proud of. I mean, you look at all the advantages of Bloomington being where it is, southernmost Big Ten campus. You would think that they'd be able to get a head start with baseball. They haven't been able to do that. Now, absolutely, they will be able able to, especially because the drainage system that they have in underneath the artificial turf is going to allow them to get on that field as soon as possible, earlier in the spring than maybe a lot of other teams. That's a huge positive. And then just from an aesthetic standpoint, it's a beautiful stadium. It's great for fans. The picnic areas that are being developed are really going to be a huge positive. And if Tracy Smith has done as well with that baseball program, playing at Sembauer Field and struggling just from a facility standpoint, he should have a heck of a good time. Plus, when they opened the place and the lights came on during the day, it was the first time Indiana had played a home baseball game under lights in its history.
All right. Well, Ken, thanks so much for joining us.
Appreciate it.
All right. Now let's take a look inside the lines on some of the upgrades that have been made at the workout facilities here on campus.
The Wildermuth Center and the Student Recreational Sports Center are major icons here on the campus of Indiana University. The facilities provide various equipment to help students maintain an active and healthy lifestyle. Last fall, both facilities underwent several renovations. Among those renovations was extended space, along with new and improved equipment for the students to enjoy.
Well, we did a campus-wide student survey a couple years ago, and the number one thing that people said that they wanted more of was actually stretching space. And the number two was cardiovascular equipment. And so what we did was we took those two things and we expanded them greatly through the renovation, or not the renovation, but the addition of spaces here and the addition of spaces at the SRSC.
The SRSC and the Wildermuth Center are very similar facilities. However, preference over one or the other depend primarily on the activity.
If people want to play basketball, certainly they come here more. If people want to swim, or if they want to do more cardiovascular and strength equipment, a lot of people go to the SRSC because we have some bigger and more equipment, bigger facilities and more equipment there than we do here. We tried to offer something that we weren't able to offer before. Before, we were a one-stop shop. So if people came to one gym, they were able to see all the strength equipment, all the cardio equipment, all the stretching, everything was right there. And when we were able to add some additional spaces, we thought it might be wise and prudent of us to offer some different areas that people might be more comfortable in. And so you'll notice that the equipment that we have right here is all low rise. You can see over it. It makes it very comfortable so that you're not blockading an area with large pieces of equipment. We also made some additional improvements to the strength equipment that we offered, and a couple other things such as adding TRX and some battle ropes and a couple other things that we were able to provide in our strength gyms that we did not have before as well.
Both the Wildermuth and the SRC play an important role in the students' lives here at Indiana University. The goal of the staff is to always increase participation among students, and the purpose of the renovations was specifically intended to benefit them.
Our mission in campus recreational sports is to connect, inform, and inspire people to lead active, healthy lifestyles. And we think that that is an integral part of the student experience and as the student's development. If you look at the components of wellness, that the physical component is certainly a big component that we're able to target. But there's a lot of research out there being done about the intellectual and the emotional health that is a result from continual exercise.
The Wildermuth Center and the SRC are home to many of the fitness classes offered at IU. They will forever be some of the most popular facilities on campus.
We got to take a break, but when we come back, we'll step into the Coach's Corner on This Is Indiana.
I spent the day in the shade of a tree, thinking how we best spend this precious time that we've been given. I came to thinking that the best use of my time would be with you. That'll make me happy. All the little things I need we could do, all the little things I need we could do together. All the little things I need we could do, all the little things I need we could do. All the little things I need we could do, all the little things I need we could do.
Scene 15, Apple. Mark.
What, can I just leave my hands like this?
What do you want to do?
I love peanut butter, and I get that organic. I use the organic one and grind it up and take it home, and it's terrific. And I also buy the bulk peanuts. I'm a peanut freak. I get the peanut butter with the chocolate chips in it. They're together and then just grinds up. Actually, it's terrific.
Okay, let's go again.
I'm not on, am I? Or am I? I love the peanut butter.
Welcome back. On Sunday, the Indiana men's basketball team once again reached the Sweet 16 by winning a nail-biter against a stingy Temple squad. Christian Watford had the big block. Victor Oladipo nailed the dagger to seal it. And despite not firing on all cylinders, the Hoosiers found a way to advance. Here's what Coach Crean had to say about his team's performance.
This is as tough a team as we've faced all year long. And you could see it on film, but the film didn't do justice, obviously, to just how tough they are. But again, when you play in the league that we play in, it prepares you for this. And when you play the Michigan States and the Ohio States and the Wisconsins and the Michigans and everybody in between, it gets you ready for tough battles. But our guys, in the second half, they never wavered on the belief that they could and would win the game. And we played defense the way we were supposed to play it for the entire game. And we made life a lot harder for as good a player as we faced, in my mind, all year in Wyatt. And our guys just did a great job of continuing to believe, moving the ball, playing through everything that went inside of the game. And the biggest thing for us is Temple could never get any separation. And if they'd have got separation, well, maybe it's a little bit different, but they couldn't because our guys withstood that. And it was just a matter of time, I think, the way our guys approached it, that things would break for them. If we just continued to defend, if we continued to do our best job of taking Wyatt away, and we continued to get good shots and good ball movement and get the ball inside and inside out on offense.
Oladipo then discussed the game-sealing three-pointer.
Well, when the game is in movement, you know, we hit Cody in the post. You know, people get open shots, and you know, I was just moving without the ball, and you know, Cody fouled me, and I was open, and I just, you know, pretty much shot the ball. You know, and you know, I was just, you know, open, and I shot it. It really didn't have anything to do with the moment or the confidence to shoot it. I just went in, I caught it and shot it. You know, and I didn't think about it. You know, I think that's when I struggle, is when I think about shots.
Jordan Hulls talked about his shoulder injury and coming back into play.
My shoulder's good. I'm sure it'll be a little sore, but nothing too serious. And you know, you'd have to do a lot more to me than that to keep me off the floor for, you know, in this kind of situation. And you know, teammates had confidence in me, and I was able to knock down some shots in the second half.
That wraps up the Coach's Corner. Now let's take a look at the brand new Bart Kaufman Field.
The recruiting pitch of the possibility of being able to play in a brand new state-of-the-art baseball facility has been used for so long here in Indiana that many former Hoosiers already in the big leagues heard it when they were in high school.
I mean, it was just surreal that it was finally here. Hearing rumors when I was being recruited to freshman year that it was in the works, and seeing the construction going underway last year, it was just awesome to see it finally come to fruition.
Dream come true, especially for me. My story came here in 8th grade with my dad, and he always talked about it. Kind of got us over here from Oxford, and to actually see it be built for not only the baseball team, but you know, being a part of the baseball team, and just for my family, it's awesome.
It was a project that was already waiting on the desk of athletic director Fred Glass when he got hired here.
It's surreal. It still seems like we're at like a minor league complex, just renting it out. Not really ours yet, but you know, every day more and more it seems to be ours.
It was extremely exciting. It just tells you something about the IU faithful, and it was 31 degrees outside, windy, 25 wind chill, and I look up in the stands and I've never seen that many people in an IU baseball game in one of the worst climates since I've been here. So it was extremely exciting, and that long road trip to start the season and finally have the fans on your side was a great feeling.
But now, at long last, Bart Kaufman Field is up and running.
Definitely the clubhouse and hitting facility area, it really gives us a home field advantage. When we hit first, we can come in the warmth and get some more swings in, and pitchers can kind of keep warm and stretch in the hitting facility, and just really gives us a home field advantage.
Especially during cold weather games, we have the access to the hitting facility. Pinch hitters, guys can stay hot. We can go in and out. Guys can just, most importantly, stay warm. Everything's right here. Food will be brought in. It just kind of takes your mind off all the other stuff, and you can focus on baseball and not worry about anything else.
Ladies and gentlemen, Indiana University President Dr. Michael A. McRobbie. Let's have a big round of applause.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Growing up, going to college baseball games, and the excitement that comes with playing under the lights, it's truly special.
The convenience of the locker room with our hitting facility, our athletic training room, and our laundry room, just everything right here, just a place for guys to hang out and get work done.
Wearing number 7, Dan Walsh. Right fielder's 36, Chad Sedio. Batting.
I think the first game I was on third base, and we just had a moment. We were like, wow, like this is it. We waited a long time. I believe winning has become engraved in our minds, and it's something that it's like we come off a 3-game sweep. Last year I think we would have hyped it up a little bit more. This year it's expected, and I think that's the mindset that we've all taken.
The Indiana Hoosiers are ranked in the top 25 for the first time in school history, and now they open up their first official home game.
It's a culture here that we work late at night, late hours. A lot of guys take study breaks and actually hit. So yeah, I mean, there's going to be guys here all the time.
We can go all the way. I know we can go all the way. It's something that we've been dreaming about, all of us, my junior class, since we've been freshmen, and we knew it was possible, and it's great that it's finally happening.
At Bart Kaufman Field, I'm Samantha Daywick for This Is Indiana.
We're going to take a time out, but when we come back, we'll talk to Deputy Athletic Director Scott Dolson on This Is Indiana. Welcome back. Now we're going to talk to my boss, the Deputy Athletic Director at Indiana University, the Sport Administrator for the men's basketball program, and Mr. Varsity Club himself, Scott Dolson. And Scott, first of all, thanks so much for joining us. But you're somebody who's long been associated not only with IU athletics, but with the basketball program in particular. You were a manager under Bob Knight. You actually have an '87 championship ring. You've loved IU basketball basically your entire life. It's got to be nice as somebody long affiliated with the program, especially with what has happened the last 10 years, to see it back where it is today.
No question about it, Jeremy. Thinking back, I remember in 1975, I was 9 years old, and I remember watching the Kentucky game and the unfortunate loss and the undefeated season, and just it broke my heart. And then the next year in 1976, we go undefeated, we win the championship, and for me, there was no other school I was ever going to go to. It was definitely IU, and it was all about basketball. And like most kids that age, you dream about playing for IU. Averaging 6 points a game on my church league team wasn't going to get me on the team here at IU, but through different connections, I was able to become a manager, and it just was really the best opportunity that I could ever have had. And winning the national championship was just icing on the cake. And as you said, for us to be able to come back this year and to be back in the national spotlight, it's just been awesome. It's been great.
There was a great article that was written recently in the Indianapolis Star about Indiana basketball managers, and it's a storied collection of people, NBA coaches, executives, people who've gone on to do great things. What was it about that experience that prepared you guys for successful careers in athletics down the line?
You know, it really, for me, when I became a basketball manager, I didn't know what it was going to be like. I had no idea. And what happened right away, what I learned was that I thought I knew how to work hard, but I had no idea what working hard really was. And it really, I think that's the one thing, if you looked across the board over the years, what is the common denominator that I think kids learn while being a manager was really to work hard and to budget your time and all those things. And as I've looked at managers or colleagues that I was a part of the program with, their success, I really in large part was due to the hard work they put in, and they just developed that work habit that helped them in their careers.
Looking at the state of IU athletics as it stands today, and you're central in that, things are really starting to turn around. You and I are lifelong IU fans. We've had this conversation a couple times. Feels like the old days around here again.
It does. I say that all the time as I'm talking to our supporters, that it just feels like old times. And back when we were in school, when soccer was winning national championships, and swimming and track were competing on the national stage, and men's basketball and all the things that are happening, it feels like that golden age. And when Fred Glass took over, that's what we talked about is, in the department is, let's get back to that golden age of IU athletics. And it definitely feels like it's coming together, and it just feels like we're back in school again. It kind of rejuvenated me, just seeing all the success and all the hard work that everyone's putting in, seeing the results of that's been great.
There are a lot of storied programs and traditions in Indiana, and you mentioned several of them. Men's soccer, men's basketball, both swimming and diving programs, track and field, and they're competing on a national level, top 10 programs in each of those. But there are some sports that historically have struggled at Indiana, even in the old great days, that are starting to turn the corner too. Baseball hasn't won an outright Big Ten title since 1949. They're ranked in the top 20 for the first time in school history. Women's basketball, for a variety of reasons, has struggled. Indiana now has one of the most successful coaches in the country, reeling in great recruiting classes. And there are a lot of positive things happening with the football program as well. So even in the areas where maybe Indiana has traditionally been weaker, you're seeing strength starting to develop.
No question about it, and it's great to see. We've invested in those programs. We've hired quality coaches and given them the resources to make things happen. And now you see the fruits of that labor. And it's been, for me, to see, particularly as Tracy Smith has come in, and to see him put the pieces together of that program, or see what Kurt Miller's doing, and to see what Kevin Wilson is doing. Kevin Wilson, from the football standpoint, to see the foundation being laid. And again, back when we were in school, when Bill Mallory put the program together and got us to consecutive bowl games and really put things in place for Indiana football to a place where we hadn't been in years, that what Kevin Wilson is doing right now, you can see that it's all going to come together, and it's fun to see it at the beginning. Because I always wondered, particularly Jerry Yeagley, for example, I wasn't in school when he started. I was there when he was in his golden era, but I always wondered what it was like when he first got there. Could you tell? Could you really see that he was going to be building something special? And that's what we're seeing now with some of these young coaches that we have.
Looking at the work of what the varsity club and the donors and fans have been able to do to help out Indiana athletics in these last couple years, the construction of the north end zone was phase one. The building of Cook Hall was phase two. Now there are two facilities that match any of their type in the country, in Bart Kaufman Field and Andy Moore Field for baseball and softball. Those are true gems, and it couldn't have been done without the help of the varsity club and their supporters.
You're exactly right, Jeremy, and I tell you, it continues to amaze me. And I've been with the varsity club now for almost 23 years. I'm 22 and a half years. And the thing that day in and day out amazes me is the loyal support. And that sounds like such a cliche, but I see the checks as they come in and fund the scholarships from a $100 check on up. It's sometimes people think when we talk about the varsity club, it's just the big donors that make it all happen, but it's a real team effort. And as I said, it continues to amaze me to see that money come in. And then, as you mentioned, with the Bart Kaufman Field and Andy Moore Field and the additional investments above the scholarships, Cook Hall, the Ames Shule Academic Center, we have a support base, and we talk to other Big Ten schools and compare notes. We have a base that I think is second to none, and is really there for all the right reasons. They're there because they want to do things the right way. They don't want us to take shortcuts, and they help give us the resources to have the success that we've been talking about.
The north end zone, Cook Hall, Bart Kaufman Field, Andy Moore Field, the D. Ames Shule Academic Center, all constructed, or the money was raised in maybe the toughest decade Indiana athletics has ever had. So that speaks to that support. Looking forward, though, for the varsity club, they've got to be excited about the way men's basketball has been playing and how things have turned around. If someone wants to support, how would they go about doing that?
The best way to support the whole program is really join our scholarship program. And we've got various levels that what we like to do, and I say this a lot when we're meeting with prospective donors that ask that very same question, is find a level that fits for you. We're not trying to maximize a single gift. We want people involved for the long haul, for that loyal support. And the key thing is to make certain that they're supporting at some level. And the misconception out there is if I can't give $100,000, it's not going to make a difference. But really, we're built on a broad base, and that broad support is what enables us to have the program that we have.
Scott, thanks so much for joining us. When we return, we'll have our Hoosier Nation recap on This Is Indiana.
We always say no wonder people love this wine. Oliver soft wines are white, red, and rosé are these magically fresh, flavorful wines that appeal to so many people. We just capture the essence of the fruit from which they're made and the know-how that we've employed to just figure out exactly how to make the freshest, brightest, most appealing wines possible. There's just so many clever secrets that we've developed over the years to just make it so good. People love them.
At Grant Street Inn, you are the center of our attention. From asking how you like your eggs in the morning to reserving your favorite room. We're committed to getting to know each and every guest. Grant Street Inn, we'll take care of the details. Your job is to get away. Our job is everything else. Grant Street Inn, downtown Bloomington.
Welcome back to Studio 5 on the campus of Indiana University. Now it's time for this week's Hoosier Nation recap. Baseball is now ranked in the nation's top 20 for the first time in program history. The Hoosiers have won 11 in a row, 17 out of their last 18. The Hoosiers are also in first place in the Big Ten after sweeping Penn State in 3 games this past weekend. In just 4 games, in the newly christened Bart Kaufman Field, the Hoosiers have outscored their opposition 37-8. IU is on the road this weekend against Iowa. Women's swimming and diving finished 11th at NCAA's last weekend, marking the 10th consecutive season that IU has finished in the nation's top 15. Brooklyn Snodgrass, Lindsey Vrooman, and Amy Kozad reeled in All-American honors for the Hoosiers. Water polo crushed the opposition last weekend in Erie, Pennsylvania, by winning both games by comfortable margins. Barry King's Hoosiers are now ranked 12th in the nation. Women's tennis was also able to handle Ohio State last weekend with a comfortable 5-2 victory. Lynn Loring's much-improved Hoosiers are currently ranked 38th in the nation. Softball opened up their Big Ten schedule on the road last weekend and took 1 of 3 games against OSU. Michelle Gardner's Hoosiers are again asked to be road warriors this weekend with a road series against Michigan State. That wraps up this week's show. Tune in next Sunday to This Is Indiana.